Hey, Morgan.
Hey, Kathy, great to see you.
Good to see you too. Oh,
Um,
David's here too.
he's here.
David's here. We got both of you. Got a double dip going on here.
It's sorry if I didn't mention that. That's might be shocking.
Uh,
We got
I
recommended to do these with both of us.
I can leave. I
No
can,
worries.
Um,
So let's see. How can we collaborate? How can we play together?
so I wanted to do our podcast interview today, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Or
I
did
changed my shirt real quick. I
okay.
remember saying that and then I forgot. But yeah, I can change. I can switch real quick. I just got to take off this wrinkly old t-shirt.
Do the Mr. Rogers and switch it out. If Kathy, if
Exactly.
there would be a better time, we can totally do it another time.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Give me a minute.
Okay.
Let me put on a different shirt in my lips and then I'm ready for you.
All right, we'll be here.
Okay, one sec. I'll be back.
Okay. In one of our roundtables, Kathy mentioned, hey, I'm the person that you can call if you ever have like a cancellation on your podcast or on your stage. Like, I don't know if she mentioned that to you, but she's like, I'm ready. 15 minutes notice, I'm good. Um,
love it.
so
Love it.
I was like, let's do it.
That's great.
She's about to prove it. I love that.
On the cusp, we're on the fly. I love it. That's great. All right. I'll turn my video off too.
You're going to have to go out. You're going to have to go out for a minute. Unless you want to be in the podcast. He was in my podcast yesterday.
Is it a dog?
No, I can't.
Cats show up on everything.
I know he showed up and I'm like, oh, I felt crazy too. I mean, I know it's good, but I was interviewing an actual professional podcast trainer and I'm like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. But I didn't say, do you want to do over? Because I figured that the cat's okay.
Part of it. And if they want to do it over, they will.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Lips, shirt, accessories, ready.
That was
Good.
really quick.
That was very quick. Yeah.
Do you have my bio intro or anything like that? I don't know.
So I sent you over the questions, but they're super simple, Kathy, where like you'll give your little intro. We don't do the intro for you because we just feel like no one can do it better than you talking about yourself. So you don't have to follow along with it. It's we'll just kind of run through it and just to sort of re-presence what this is about is this is to tell your story of how you started your business, how you got to where you are, mistakes, successes, joys and sorrows, all those roadblocks and finish lines, right, along the way, and how you did it. It's for new coaches who are trying to figure out how to get from I'm still working a full-time job and just doing this on the side to this is my business and it's my purpose. So
awesome.
All of this is going to be your story. And thank you for being willing to do it and being willing to do it on the fly. Like super excited about that.
Yeah, I wasn't lying when I said I can speak on a dime.
I know I was telling Dave that. So go ahead, Dave.
So real quick, we lucky enough to talk to a coach today who's going to be interviewing with us, and he had done something like this a while ago, and he represents something with me that I thought was really important. That one of the first lines I put in the document is introduce yourself as if you're at a conference, and he was like, I really don't like that, and he kind of explained that. He's like, dude, I like to introduce myself of who I am outside of my achievements, and so I just want to position this. I don't really want it to be formal. I want it to be really authentic. So who you are as a person, why clients choose you, and the relationship you have with them, and why that's really important. And so I just want to make sure it doesn't feel super strict, and just like bring us who you are.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So
I'm
Kathi,
introducing myself.
I'm gonna just ask you and then you'll introduce yourself. So Kathi, tell us who you are and what does your current business look like?
Now I have a question though. I'm recording this on mine, aren't I?
Yeah, you are. And I was figuring you would send it to us, or I could record it, or Dave could record it.
Well, you guys should probably record it.
Yeah. Dave, would you mind?
So that you own it.
I just sent you a request.
Approve. I'm approving. Thank you. I just thought about that. It's like, how is this working if I have the recording?
Absolutely
I just sent her a message too. I said, hey, we need to record.
All right. Okay.
All right. So Kathi, tell us who you are and a little bit about your business.
Okay. Well, my name's Kathi Burns. My company is Organized and Energized. I'm a professional organizer and a personal stylist. I also am a serial entrepreneur. I was thinking back recently when I was writing another script. I actually started as an entrepreneur in 4th grade. I opened up the Bluebird Diner Cafe in my neighbor's basement, and I was selling little cheese and crackers and sandwiches, whatever I could grab from my mom, to my neighbors. And so I opened up a cafe way back then, and I just remember that just recently. But since then, I was a licensed yacht captain where I delivered boats because I basically wanted to sail for a living. So I got my license and did that for a little while. And after that, I became a travel writer where I was on the road 42 weeks a year, living out of a suitcase. And I think that all kind of spurred me into becoming a professional organizer. Because I remember I was sitting out in the middle of the Gulf Stream one night watching the satellite go over, which was pretty crazy anyhow, and thinking about things in my apartment, and none of it meant anything. Like I was thinking, what's important back there? Because I'd been on the sea for about I think 5 weeks at that point, and I didn't miss anything that was from my apartment. And I'm thinking, okay, it's not that substantial. So I would get back to my apartment and I would just purge, because I had the clarity of thought to know that it wasn't really relevant in my life. And I had everything that I needed when I was on the boat. And I think the same thing happened as a travel writer. You know, it just continued on. I lived out of a suitcase, realizing that who cares about what's at home? So that's, I think, the beginning of becoming a professional organizer. And when I was at a crossroads, trying to reinvent my life, because I have 7 careers, I was trying to figure out what does Kathi like? Well, Kathi likes change, obviously, because I've had 7 careers. and what do most people lack? They're afraid of change. Let's just put it that way. Most people are in fear of change, and I embrace change. So I figured, what can I do to help people change that's non-invasive, right? I'm not going to do a mind shift or any of that. I can help them change their space. And that's how it all started way back when. I do a lot more than just work with organizing spaces at this point, but that's how it kind of all started, was the stuff, right? The stuff that we have in our environment, and what do we need? What do we not need? And what I've realized is that if you can start making space in your home and in your environment, you can embrace change quicker and faster and easier because you're used to making change at a small level. So that's a very short, long story, or long, short story of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
That is such a journey. Dave and I actually lived out of backpacks, bigger backpacks, obviously, for over 6 months. And I think we went through a similar thing of like, well, you really can live out of a backpack. We went through multiple climates. You know, we brought our winter stuff and our summer stuff, totally identify with that. But I don't think we purged nearly as much as you did.
Yeah,
You know, it's
still,
an ongoing process.
yeah, we could still purge quite a bit.
Yes. So, Kathi, when you started transitioning into this new business, first of all, how did you do that? How did you start? What were your first steps?
Well, I started with and this is what happens with a lot of pro organizers. I started with a girlfriend. I met her when I had moved to San Diego and I was trying to figure out what to do for a living, right? So I helped her. She was on a hero's journey, a healing journey. I was on a reinvention journey. And we both had a year off, which I'd never had a year off in my life, to try to figure out, what do I want to do? And I started working with her, and she was she was recovering from a medical issue. And I got to her house and I'm like, girlfriend, you're never going to heal if you don't start getting rid of some of this stuff. And so I helped her at that point start purging and start organizing. And she goes, you know what? You're really good at this. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's fine. She goes, you know, people do this for a living. And I said, really? Do they really? And she goes, yeah, you should talk to my girlfriend. She's been using a pro organizer for like 8 years. And you should talk to her. So that's how it all started. I interviewed her girlfriend, and her girlfriend hired me right away, as did then her husband. And so I started doing it that way. And then, being who I am, I love licenses and education, all that. So I became board certified. And I was one of the first board certified organizers in the world, actually, class of 78, I think we had at that time, about 19 years ago. And so I became board certified, and I just grew my business that way through referrals. And, you know, I have my certification. You have to have a lot of hours and a lot of training and a 4-hour exam and all that good stuff. So I'm still board certified. And now I actually help craft the exam questions for the board certification committee. So I serve on the committee. I'm one of the old timers. So that's how that started. It just kind of accidentally went into like, oh, okay, something that I'm good at, standing. And this is what I think, if people who are looking to transition into a new career, what comes easy to you? What do you love? What brings you joy? And I always say, what can you do standing on your head asleep, with effort, with no effort, and with joy? And that's a good place to start to reinvent yourself, in my opinion. So that's how that all started. And you know, 20 years later, I haven't switched. You know, this is my 8th career and I haven't switched yet. So I think this is a sticker.
So how did you find, let's just talk through your first client. So you just got into this, and did you just have some friends get introduced to some folks that were having problems? Can you walk me through that?
Yeah. So my girlfriend had said, you know, talk to my other girlfriend who's been using a pro organizer forever. Well, what's interesting about that was that I've been helping my friends dress forever. This is why I became a professional organizer and a personal stylist, because for me, it was a natural thing. So after I spoke with her friend, her husband gave me a call and said, hey, I've been trying to change myself somehow. I've been in prayer groups, I've been in men's groups, I've been in all this different stuff. He was a professional, he was a dentist at the time that had his own agency, and he really was not happy in his job. He was an artist and a French horn player and just a jigsaw puzzle. And he goes, I think maybe if you help me change the way I dress, I can change my life. And it all started from there. And I got an email 3 a.m. from his wife going, you did more for John than I ever did for him, ever, changing his clothes and so on and so forth. And then she hired me. And then she hired me to help her get organized and also to help her do style. And so it was such a huge blessing, because I'm an artistic creative organizer and most organizers are not. So for him to say, like, the whole reason that I did my job was to help people change, right? That was my initial thing. I'll help people change through a non-invasive way. We changed his shoes, it changed his life. He sold his practice. He now works for the military as a civilian. So he has a kick butt, easy breezy schedule. He gets to work out, he gets to do his jigsaw puzzles, and he gets to be with his kids every day. He has the cush job as opposed to being a dentist with a, you know, anchored down practice that he had to maintain all the time. So that was a big, huge shift. And then that was my blessing to have that very first client actually do what I started this job to do, right?
Right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate. Right out of the
So
gate.
how did you come up with your first offering? Did you try hourly? How'd you go about that?
I've always done hourly because people always say, how long is it going to take? And I'm like, oh, you know, I am a whirlwind, but it depends on how quickly you make decisions. So, you know, how long it's going to take is based on, number one, how much stuff you have, how resistant you are to change, and how quickly you can make decisions. Because I've been called a whirlwind. My clients call me a whirlwind all the time. So I will go fast as you can take. And that's all I can say. So yeah, so it's just hourly for me. That's the only way I can do it, because I never know what I'm walking into with their mindset or their environment or their habits or whatever. Yeah.
What was your hourly rate when you first started?
Back in the day, and we're not supposed to discuss rates, actually.
Oh, okay.
It's part of my code of ethics. We don't discuss rates. We don't publicize them.
Sure.
Okay.
Can you share like how many X you've increased your rates from when you started 20 years ago till now?
Yeah. So I started at a lower rate, you know, less than $100 an hour. And when I became board certified, I pumped it up to almost that. And 20 years later, I'm like 6 times that.
Nice. So how did you make those choices? So one of them was clearly, now I'm certified, my time is worth more. And then how about those other increases over time?
It's kind of hard. You know, I would grandmother people in. So, you know, I have some clients that I sell. Well, first off, one of the best piece of advice that I received from another pro organizer was to create packages. So I create, you know, buy 20, get one free, buy 15, get one free, that kind of thing. So the package really was a brilliant idea. And I took that from another pro who taught me that, one of my mentors. And so that worked out very nicely. But then, you know, then as I raise my rates, I have people that are grandmothered into the old rate. And sometimes I just keep them there, you know, depending on how long I've had them. But I always like my clients to graduate. Most of my clients graduate within a year or so, but I have some that have been with me for 10, 20 years. You know, they just ongoing kind of stuff. So I grandmother them. And then by the time I do it twice, you know, if I've upped my rate twice while I've been working with them, I say, okay, I have to bump you up to that next level, not my new level, but I'm going to bump you up a little bit. And that's how that works.
And you probably don't get any pushback from them, do you?
Not so much. I mean, here's the thing that's interesting about my profession is that I'm a public speaker, so I speak all the time. And when they're ready to hire me, they hire me,
Yeah.
right? So they could have my card. They could have heard me speak 5 years ago, and then I'm ready. Okay, Kath, when they call, they're ready. And so there's not really resistance to the money as such because they're ready. If I try to get, you know, enlist people that aren't ready, then of course it's a fight about rates and whatnot because they're not really ready. And I don't really want to work with them if they're not ready, because I'm here to make significant impact and change in their life. And if they're going to resist me the whole way, it's just like pushing a rock up the hill. You know, it's just not going to work. Part of my code of ethics as a board certified professional organizer is a transference of skills. If I don't transfer skills to that client, I have not done my job. So they have to be open and ready and willing to learn and to change their wily ways, so to speak, right? So that they can move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So since then, have you dialed in any other marketing channels to grow your business, or is it still pretty much word of mouth?
Well, no, I'm a speaker. I'm an author. I've published 3 books. I'm a blogger. So I published my first book early on in my career. And shortly after I published my first book, I got picked up by Good Morning America as a successful woman business owner. And they put me on that stage, right? And then it just took off from there. So I got in all the magazines and Oprah and Martha Stewart and Real Simple and all that good stuff. So that just kind of catapulted me. That was a huge blessing because it was at the beginning of my career.
Yeah.
But since then, so I love to write books and I love to create content. So I've co-authored 4 books. I've written 2. I just got paid actually to write another book, this Tetris book back here. They hired me to write, which is great because I didn't have to do anything but write. But back to the other products. So I have online programs. I have online courses that are based on both of my books. I have all sorts of products and 7 days to organize and energize your life, home organizing made simple, the home office organization course, goes on and on and on. So I create a lot of content because it brings me joy. I just actually love to create content.
Yeah. So you've worked with a lot of channels. If you were to look back, talk to yourself 5 years ago, and you wanted to say, "Hey, focus on this one more than the others," what would it be?
I'd say YouTube. I should have focused on YouTube more than I have been, and I'm really focused on it now. I'm pretty close to monetizing it, and it's literally, I've not done anything. I mean, I've been doing stuff for 20 years, but I didn't know anything about what I was doing. I was just putting stuff on there, throwing it against the wall. And so now I'm actually getting serious about getting my YouTube channel money ready, so to speak. There's so much content there. It's just crazy because every time I do a video, I just pop it up there. But then I didn't really have a strategy for what I was going to do with it, which is the story of my life. Actually, I just produce content with no apparent reason because I love to do it. I should do a little bit differently, I think. And that's where you guys come in.
Yeah. Do you know which content was like the best return for you? Like the books, the blogs, the etc.
I'd have to say the books
Yeah.
because it made me an expert. Actually, I forgot what I did really, really, really early in my career was I became a Dear Kathi for organizing for a local newspaper group. And I
Nice.
would write 500 words a week for this little newspaper called the Coast News. And they had, I think, 6 different publications in different areas around San Diego. And so what that did for me was a couple of things. So, number one, it put me on the charts, but it made me write 500 words a week. So what do I do with the 500 words a week? I put them on my blog. What I do with the blog, I do back then I didn't do it, but now I do a video, right? So having to write 500 words a week was a fantastic idea and a fantastic thing that I fell into. But I knew I needed to get some promotion out there, right? To, shake the signs or whatever. I also started, actually, it's a long story, but I started this company on $49. We went bankrupt after 9/11 in Florida. So we moved to California, so I had $49, right? So what am I going to do with $49? I am going to print flyers and I printed 2 up on 8.5 by 11. I'd hole punch them, I'd rubber band them, and I would walk in expensive neighborhoods and hang them on doors. And that's how I actually started my business. Talk about bootstrap marketing, right?
Yeah.
We would walk and walk and walk, my husband and I, because at the time he was supporting me with, doing marketing for me. And he built the website and all that stuff. And inevitably, at the end of the day, I'd get one little phone call from someone who said, "Oh, I got your flyer hanging on my door. That was really weird." It had a rubber band. And, what do you do? And then I talked to him and then I ended up getting a client. So that's actually how I launched. I haven't thought about that for a long time. But yeah, $400, I started my agency.
That's incredible. You mentioned that your husband was helping you with marketing and websites. Are there any other partnerships or networking that were pivotal to get you off the ground?
Yeah, I was part of a networking group called Good Old Gals, which is still going right now, actually. And you know how the good old boys groups, they get around the golf course and they drink and they do business? This is what Good Old Gals is set up to do. So it's set up as a community where we do lunch and then we go to the bar afterwards and then we do business. and we're doing business with people that we like. And that was a good launch pad for me. In fact, I'm speaking at 3 of their events in 2 weeks. Since then, the lady who designed it has expanded to 5 locations. Actually, she's franchising it across the US now. It's a Good Old Gals Network. And we're not old. It's just like, kind of a spinoff of the Good Old Boys, right? Yeah. And that was very, very helpful for me. I would recommend anybody, launching, that they find a networking group that they feel that they have affinity for. I don't think the one that you have to pass leads and all that, because I think that's really forced and not really authentic, but find a networking group that you resonate with and stick with them and give them leads. They give you leads, you give them leads, all have them in your pocket. It also makes you a preferred vendor, but it also makes me an amazing resource. Someone says, hey, I need an accountant, or I need a whatever. I know all these people because they're in my circle of networking. So it's a really good thing to build your colleague arsenal so that you can then expand and give it to your clients, because, you never know what a client's going to need. They're going to need more than just a pro organizer or a stylist, definitely.
So with these early connections, early influences, what is some of the best advice you got? And it could be from a completely external source, not necessarily related to your business, could be from another coach. Like, what's some of the best advice you got?
Delegate. When I first started my company, I did not delegate. And I would be in tears trying to do tech. It was just the most stupid thing that I've ever done, is trying to do it all by myself. And now that I have a team behind me that's just ticking in the background, they're doing the tech stuff. I'm no longer tearing my head out. I'm doing what I really love to do, which is talk and create content. That's my zone, right? Why should I have done all that other stuff? Well, I thought, and a lot of people listening are going to think that too, I can't afford to hire somebody. Yes, you can. You can do trade. You can do all sorts of things. People are going to need what you have. And you absolutely positively have to delegate, number one, what you hate, what's below your pay grade, and what you just shouldn't be doing, what you don't know how to do, right? So delegate what you hate. I always say that's step one. But you can always afford to delegate. And you can't afford not to delegate. Because if you wanted to be in your true power, it's not going to be whatever, doing QuickBooks or doing code or whatever, or stupid stuff I was trying to do back then.
You said one of your worst mistakes was not delegating early on and diving into that stuff. What are some other mistakes that you've learned from along the way?
I think creating content without a real plan, right? So at the beginning, I had a plan. I was writing 500 words a week. Then I wrote a book, and that was a plan to become an expert. Then I created a course without a plan. So that's where you guys come into it, right? So, I had this course, but I hadn't really considered, it was all based on my book, which I thought was good, really good copy and content and all that stuff. But did I know how I was going to market it, right? I didn't really have a plan put in place for that.
So we went over the best advice you got. Have you ever had advice that was just terrible?
Well, of course. Let me think. I have a really not perfect memory, and I generally forget the bad stuff. I think that's an asset. And my husband remembers everything. I don't remember things that people did wrong to me, right? Let me think. I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't think of anything. I mean, one of the best pieces of advice was go deep, not wide, when it comes to like social and all that. I thought that was great. Don't be everywhere to everybody at all times. Go deep, not wide. So that was a good piece of advice. If someone would have said, be on every platform. I mean, I am on every platform now, but it's all systematized, right? I don't have to worry about it. But at the beginning, if I was going to try to be on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter and blah, 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 it would not have worked. I mean, I would have been bonkers.
Sure. So on that note, did you find a niche that typically works really well with you that you dug into?
Facebook.
So
Yeah,
Facebook.
Facebook works as good as it can for what it is now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think that's why I'm really focusing on my YouTube channel. I think that it's better, and I can actually put my podcast on there as well, because I
Yeah.
wasn't doing that either. You know, my podcast is published everywhere that anyone who wants to consume it, but I hadn't put it yet on my YouTube channel, which was strange and silly. So, so yeah, I think YouTube's going to be the better of all, because there's less monitoring and less selective showing like Facebook does. And also LinkedIn, you know, because I have a lot of professional colleagues who are on LinkedIn.
Are there certain groups of people that you found are typically in need of your services more than others? Maybe founders, maybe folks that are really, really busy. Did you find that over time?
Absolutely, women entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And, you know, I've spent thousands of dollars on avatars, right? Who's your avatar?
Yeah.
And how do you create your avatar? What is your avatar? And after all this, I realized, and this is for everybody, I would almost guarantee it, your avatar is you.
Mm.
My avatar is me. You know, creative, successful women entrepreneurs who just need help trying to get it together, right? Because we all need, you know, I need it. I'm ADD. I'm like all over the place, squirrel chasing, right? I'm a reformed squirrel chaser, but I'm trying. But you
Yeah.
know, people, I think people resonate with you, and that's your avatar. And I wish actually, that's really good. That's bad advice that I received way back when, was spending so many. I mean, I think I probably spent, I don't know, over $10,000 trying to figure out my avatar.
Hmm.
That was just silly, because my avatar is me.
Yeah.
Just a mirror would have been fine.
A mirror would have been fine. It's like, okay, I will just, because people who are like me are going to resonate with me, right? You're going to
Yeah.
resonate with who you are. And, you know, that, so yeah, creative, artistic women entrepreneurs for sure. That's what I'm all about.
A lot of
Yep.
people create a business solving a problem they had that there was no resource for. I think
Mhm.
that's I see that a lot, especially in the coaching world for sure. And then you see people who see, oh, coaching is a profitable business, so I'm just going to become a coach, and like they don't really get it because it's not them. They haven't gone through whatever that thing is. What are some other influential things that happened in term or influential sources for you, books, podcasts, other coaches you followed, or other organizers? Like what has influenced you in your approach to business and your approach to how you do what you do?
I've taken so many trainings over the years, and you know, we met at JVX with Iman's training, and Iman Agai has been the most influential mentor that I've ever had in my life. He's the one person who has told me what to do, how to do it, and it worked. You know, I've taken so many trainings that are, being an organizer, I'm a step-by-step methodical thing. Just all I've said all my life is just tell me what to do. What's step 1, 2, 3, and I will do it. Right. And he's the only one that really does that. The other trainings I've taken are like are ethereal and, but the steps, and the thing is that the only thing that he tells anyone to do is stuff that he's done already. It's tried, true, and proven, right? So I would say he is my most influential mentor of anybody. As far as my colleagues, Peter Walsh, who has written several books, he was Oprah's organizer. He was a big influencer for me and a friend, and he's just prolific as well as a content provider and content creator, and he's just an awesome human being. So he's been very influential to me. And also Dorothy, my friend who created Hoarders, the show. Now, I don't deal with hoarders at all, but she's a fantastic producer and a fantastic organizer. And she's been very influential and very kind to me as well, as far as helping with credibility and just, guiding me down the road.
Awesome. Um, are you hiring right now?
No.
No.
So I our last corporation, we had lots of employees, and it was a corporation. And I am just not that good of a boss, I've decided to myself, nor do I want to be. I don't have a lot of, I guess I have a lot of empathy for my clients, but I don't have a lot of empathy. I used to not have a lot of empathy for my people. So I've decided intentionally that I'm going to be autonomous, and that I'm only going to hire other professionals. So everyone that I have 3 VAs or, assistants or whatever, they all have their own companies. And I like it that way because they're pro, I'm pro. I want to be professional to professional in the relationship. And it also allows everyone to transition out. My number 1 just transitioned out, but she totally covered my butt and put all the SOPs in place for number 2 to step into number 1. So, I love that. I just love hiring other pros, and I really don't want employees. I've had people telling me for 20 years that I should start an academy to train other organizers to become other organizers. No, I really don't care about that.
Got it.
So what is next for you?
Yeah.
If it's not the academy, you're talking about more speaking engagements, you're talking about doing that kind of stuff. And your podcast, of course, and bringing up your YouTube, making that even bigger. What else is next for your business?
Well, back when I started my company, quite honestly, I was either going to become a unity minister, or I was going to be an organizer. And I've combined both into my career. And back in 2009, woo-woo wasn't really so front and forward. So now I'm incorporating more of the spiritual. I'm on the track as a science of mind practitioner, and I will incorporate more spirituality into what I do. And I'll probably write a book about it. I'll write another book. I'm going to be writing books forever. So I'll just write a book about how clutter affects your spiritual space. Something like that. I don't know.
Love that.
I'll write another book.
Do you plan on launching any more courses, more on the side of software or different packages outside of the hourly work?
Yes, actually, what I'm doing is I'm collaborating now with people that are really, really good marketers that have the 3-day events, and they have their big products and whatnot. And I'm packaging myself into their program. Because here's the thing: most people start, like they'll buy a big product, and then they don't do anything about it. They don't finish, and they just pay and pay and pay, and they don't take action. So I'm packaging myself as the Energizer bunny to ignite the people into action. So how it's looking right now with my first gig is that I'll be an extra bonus for the people who buy. It'll be part of the offer stack, where I ignite them and say, step 1, listen to me and do this, and this is the way you're going to skyrocket and actually finish the program you just bought. So that's my newest, latest, greatest. And my girlfriend, Nancy Jutton, is packaged into other packages, and she's the one who gave me that idea. So I'm going to give her credit for that. And it's just a cool thing. That way I can just show my expertise, shine my light, do what I do best, and help other coaches actually have their people finish their courses.
Right. Oh, you know what we forgot to ask you is what type of tools are you using to run your business today?
Tools?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a MacBook Air. I use Trello. Trello is where all my SOPs are. I use Google Contacts. I use Less Annoying for my CRM. I use ActiveCampaign and ClickFunnels. I switched from Kartra and went back to that, back and forth. I won't do that anymore. Let's see what else. I have my Google Pixel phone, which people think it's funny, but it takes the best pictures in the world. I love my Pixel. And I've just gone Google all the way, actually. So, I use Google Drive, Google Contacts, Gmail. I put all my clients into the Google suite, so to speak, because I think it's where it's at right now. And I think it's where it will be for a very long time. So my contacts are there, but then my CRM is less annoying.
Got it. Well, I think that wraps up most of our questions. So do you have any like parting advice, last advice for entrepreneurs to inspire them to get their coaching career off the ground?
Sure. If you're thinking about launching a course or creating a new business, just think about what brings you joy. That's all it comes down to. It's like, so I think that every desire is a creative spark from your, from source to you. So that's like a spark wanting to come through. So if you really have a desire to do something, just honor it and follow through on it. Don't feel like you're not good enough. Don't feel like you don't know how to do it. It doesn't matter, because that creative spark is there for you, because you're an individuation of creativity. So let it shine. As what I think what'll happen is that if you let that shine and you follow through on your desire, right? I consider it a God gift, that everything's going to fall into place for you, as long as you don't doubt and you just keep moving forward. I mean, you can doubt a little, everybody does, but just keep moving forward, one step in front of the other, one step in front of the other, and things are going to start opening up for you for what you want to do with your new career and your new life, right? We're all creators. So it's just a matter of, what do you want to create? Are you intentionally creating something, or are you unintentionally creating a bunch of crap, right? So you can either be intentional about it or just let things happen to you. You might as well just be the boss and create whatever you want to create.
Sure. That's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing your amazing story. This has been really, really helpful. And I'm sure everybody listening is going to be enjoying this and taking a lot of tidbits from it. So thank you.
Oh, I appreciate the opportunity. Absolutely. It's nice to get to know you too as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And Kathi, where can everybody learn more about you?
You can go to organizedandenergized.com. And on that, you'll see there's a whole bunch of free trainings and free treats and that type of thing. And you can find all sorts of information about anything that you might want to do about getting organized.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that was amazing. You're very good at this. You do this a lot, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a trained speaker, baby. I'm a trained professional.
I love that story of the sandwiches in from your mom's basement to your neighbor's basement.
Well, you know what's really funny? I had forgotten. I just remembered that yesterday when I was writing something else. I'm like, oh my God, it's fourth grade. I was selling, I'd took my mom and to give me whatever she would give me, and then I'd make sandwiches out of them and sell.
Oh my God.
Well, and there's so many of like the big famous entrepreneurs we hear about. I was 12 years old and doing this, and I was, that like that's just built into you, and that's so cool.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Yeah, one of my girlfriends was selling rocks when she was 6. She's so successful. She makes so much money. She could sell rocks at 6 years old, right? My husband, this is a good one this is pretty funny. Because he's a serial entrepreneur as well. He would pick flowers in the field, and then he would go up to knock on doors and say, "Here, lady, would you like some flowers?" And he wouldn't ask for money, and they would give him money.
Wow.
He just pick them off the road and knock on ladies' doors and say, "Here, would you like some flowers?" Isn't that funny?
Wow, both of you. If you had met as kids, it would have been a whole economy.
Exactly. That was pretty industrious.
My old man used to go to the golf courses or the golf range and go diving for all the balls and get all of them and sell them back to the people who just paid for them. And he made a ton of money doing that.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, it's great. I mean, you can make money doing pretty much anything. So it's whatever makes you happy. He probably actually loved getting on the golf course and getting paid to do it, and dig through and stuff like that. And he's outside. I mean, come on.
Yeah. He was like 5 years old. So it was just like, really, kid? Like
Kathi, I'm curious, do you have any tips for us on how we can improve on doing the podcast piece, doing the interview?
Absolutely.
Well, first off, I scheduled this, I guess, but if you schedule it, it should probably say podcast interview. Because
Totally agree.
I didn't remember until you said, "Oh, we're gonna film," and I said, "Oh yeah, I could do that," but then I totally forgot.
That was incredible, by the way.
Well, I love to do interviews and talks and whatnot. But yeah, so I'd say you probably already do that. So that's probably non-advice that you don't need. I think maybe you guys could talk amongst yourself about what I said. Like, oh, Dave, do you remember when blah, blah, blah? And you can say, oh yeah, that Morgan, that kind of resonates with us. So put yourself into it more. And I only just learned that through a podcast, the interview that I just did. He said most people that do podcasts, they don't talk about themselves enough. And I'm a culprit for that.
Yeah.
Because every time I try to interject myself into my podcast interview, I feel like I'm self-aggrandizing, but it's something that you really have to do.
Yeah.
Because, you've got to talk about your modality while you're doing these interviews. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I do kind of, I'm like, what's your favorite organizing hack? And then I'll say something about it, what my fort, but to interject more into what you guys do, because you could have said something like, oh yeah, and our person that created that course, da 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 da, then it kind of gives you the expertise of your platform. Maybe that would be something. And I only just learned that yesterday. So
Great advice.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I mean, I feel kind of weird talking about myself in it because it's like it's about you, right? And so even when I was like, oh yeah, we lived out of a backpack, la la la, I was like, is that weird? But it's really good to hear that that's not weird. Thank you.
it's relatable, right?
Yeah.
So people, and this is another thing that I learned, people don't listen to your podcast for the content. They listen for you. They're here to listen to you no matter what you're saying. So if you're not saying much, you might not get that much traction with your podcast.
Sure.
And I'm like, ooh, okay, that's good and scary too, right? That's kind of okay. They're here for me, not for what I'm, not for my guest. And so that was a little epiphany as well for me. I'm like, okay. Eric Johnson, do you know him?
The name's familiar.
He has, what's his company? His company is, well, he's a podcast coach. Eric K. Johnson. He's a cool guy. He's the one that was teaching me this stuff yesterday when I was interviewing him with my cat. But he's a podcast coach. So
it's so funny, Kathi. When we first started this, it was like, okay, we're going to do just the written version, just fill out these questions and we'll put it up. And then it was like, okay, let's do a video interview because people say better stuff. And then we'll cut ourselves out of it and it'll just be them. And now it's like, okay, Iman was like, do a podcast. And now since last weekend, we were like, okay, now we're doing a podcast. And now it's like, not only are you doing a podcast, like talk about yourself. So it's a pretty fast transition into talking about ourselves. So
we'll see. It is. It was kind of a thing to me yesterday. I'm like, oh, okay. It felt weird too, just like you, Morgan. It's like, why should we talk about me? But no, they want to know that you guys lived out of a duffel bag. They want to know that you were backpackers. It just like, opens up a whole little thing of then there's relatability, right? So then they can relate to, oh yeah, I actually did the trail and da 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 da. I have to reach out to them and see what they thought about that and all that good stuff. So is this going to be a video with all three of us?
That's the idea.
Okay. So you need to change your backgrounds.
Okay.
You need to get clean and crisp, kiddos. Clean up your background. And, for a long time, what I did, I had the roll down screen that they're cheap, super cheap. And you can, from the ceiling, you roll them down. I would roll down a brick wall behind me or roll down, I think I had flowers or a brick path or something at one point, but they're super cheap on Amazon. You can roll them up so they're on the ceiling and roll them down when you're live. So they're really cheap. I couldn't believe I got my first setup. Of course, that was a few years ago, but I think my first setup was $150 for everything. And I had 2 different backgrounds and I could roll them up and down and do whatever. But yeah, you definitely need to get better backgrounds so that people will focus on you and not the stuff behind you and what is that and, what's going on back there.
Sure. Sure.
Totally. Thank
But
you.
you know, hey, you're a brand new podcast. You just now started video, so go for it.
Yeah.
We just started, so that's super helpful, things that we don't think about. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have to change your lighting, but don't do the green screen thing because it's so
It's
weird.
terrible. I get really annoyed by that when I see people doing it.
I can't take it. I'm like, I can't interview you if you're going to move you can't move.
Right.
Or I don't care what's in your background. Just get rid of the freaking green screen because it's
Yeah.
just a thing. I mean, you could paint at one point I did paint my wall green at one of my houses. So
Yeah.
then actually I created it. It was green. And so that I actually had a green screen behind me the whole time. It was the wall, and then I could make it whatever I wanted. That was cool.
Yeah. Love that.
You know, helps to have a video guy for a husband. Speaking of that, I have to promote whatismanifesting.com. So I would love for you guys to hit it, look at the trailer, and please like it and give it some love. It's his here, I'll put it in
So the manifesting trailer.
I'm
What
sorry.
is manifesting.com?
I'm putting it in chat, the link, because it's still, the more people hit it, the better. If both of you could do it for me, because when I Google what is it's still not right there because the trailer is literally brand new, hot off this track, and it'll be released next spring.
Is this yours?
It's Rob's, my husband.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's a documentarian. That's why he's doing the documentary for him on right now. The story.
Oh, that was your husband.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, he's doing the story mentory. And but this is our passion project, is what is manifesting. And Iman's in it, Jack Canfield's in it. There's a bunch all gurus and scientists and all sorts of suspects are in this movie. It's very interesting. It's designed to be a sequel to The Secret, where The Secret kind of fell short. This is not an answer, but it's a follow-up inquiry of what do you think manifesting is? How, if you've ever manifested, what happened? So we're going on the street at street fairs and stuff and just asking people off the street, and they all have stories, and it's fantastic. He's populating the YouTube channel with the street stories right now to kind of create some buzz around it. But yeah, we'd appreciate any love you could give it. If you have friends that resonate, would love for you to share it for them.
We
Sure.
definitely have some woo-woo community for
There
sure.
you go. I mean, all of JVX is woo-woo, so
It
and
is for sure.
that's the thing. See, we go, I remember this one girl, and she's like, no, I don't know what manifesting is. And I'm like, well, have you ever done anything with intention and it just showed up easily? And she goes, well, you see that apartment right there? And she tells us this whole story about how she was traveling around, a gypsy, looked at this place at Ocean Beach and said, I want to live there. And a month later, she's there.
Wow.
And we caught her doing art down below on the shore. And she's like, no, I didn't. And then she goes, oh yeah. Okay. So everybody manifests. They just don't know whether they're doing it intentionally. I mean, everybody manifests. Let's just put it that way. They're either intentional manifestors or unintentional manifestors, but we're all manifesting stuff all the time. So it's been thrilling to just interview anybody, any suspect, and hear what they have to say, because they all have a story. Every single one of them has a story. It's pretty cool.
Love it. Can't wait to see that, Kathi. Thank you.
Yeah. So check out the trailer, spread the love. We're looking for sponsors. If you guys know anybody who would sponsor anything like that, what we're doing is for a $50,000 sponsorship, you get a free story mentoring, and you get credits, screen credits.
Very cool.
So there'll be where are you guys located?
We're in Northern California. We're in Davis.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Davis. My girlfriend's kids just moved up there. They're going to UC Davis.
Big college town for sure. And Dave was just down in San Diego, so visiting.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Oh, you're in San Diego right now?
He was just visiting recently.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Kathi,
awesome.
thank you again so much for taking the time and being willing to do this and help out new folks launching their business. We really appreciate how much time everyone is willing to spend on this and help others, get past that leap. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I love your business platform. I like the name. It works. right? Although I was confused though, because I thought you were doing online course creation, but then there was something else thrown in there. I don't remember what it was.
I have two. So I am not quite as a serial entrepreneur as you, Kathi, but I have Build the Course, which is the online course building, and Accountable Hero, where I set up people's Coach Accountable accounts for coaches, like all their client management stuff. And that's where I started most recently. And then Build the Course came later. So it's both still running strong.
I like Build the Course. Yeah, that's great. And if you ever need an expert to help guide your people, you know, to help them keep them on it to build the course, I'd love to be included in the program with that. That would be fun.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, give them some time management or productivity, or tell them how are they going to spend, what time are they going to set aside to do it? Here's how you set aside your time so you can actually build your course.
Yes, that's a big block for a lot of them. So I am thinking of a few projects where that might be a great fit. So I will keep you posted on that, Kathi, probably mid next year.
I would love that. Love that. And meanwhile, you guys should be a guest on my podcast. Although I have to say, I've never interviewed two people at the same time, but let me send you the link. What I do with my podcast is I film only one day a month. I film five a day, and then I'm done with it. So I think the next opening is January, but if you guys would please apply. And I don't know if I can interview two. I never have. Maybe I'll just interview one of you. I don't know. But
I mean, honestly, it might be a better fit for one of us. Although, because Dave is like the business expert here, between the two of us, absolutely the business expert. So I'm wondering if that might be a good fit. But for like starting the business, like this is my business and he's got his own thing going on. But I think, yeah, we'll figure out who might be a better fit for you, Kathi, and go from there.
Yeah, the podcast is just about women entrepreneurs, the ups and downs, you know, the hero's journey, of course, what happened to you, just like your interview, you know.
I guess it has to be me then. We picked women entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it is for women entrepreneurs, but I have men that are podcast guests as well, you know, whoever serves women entrepreneurs. So
just interview Morgan.
Yeah,
right.
So we need you to apply. The link's in chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kathi. I'm looking forward to seeing you again and seeing what else is possible with us. And I just love your energy and like you bringing yourself to everything. So yeah, thank you. And we'll see you soon.
I'm trying to share it on Facebook right now.
Yay. Thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate that.
And we'll update you on the next steps of this as we get everything organized and figured out and everything. So as you know, we're still figuring some pieces out.
Figuring it out. You know, Buzzsprout, did they mention Buzzsprout to you?
I don't think so.
Buzzsprout is where I publish, and it's really easy. It's like $15 a month, and they put it everywhere. So they put it on Apple, Spotify, every single platform. They do audio, video, whatever, but it's the distribution agency. And I like it because it's only $15 a month, or maybe 12, but that's all I do.
And we don't have a software for it. So this is a great lead. Thank you.
Buzzsprout. I like it. It was the cheapest and the best. And, you know, it's pretty easy to set it up too. You just have to keep giving your unique URLs for your podcast. And then, you know, to get on Apple and Spotify and all that, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Easily and effortlessly. They do all that crap. You just have to push all the buttons and get signed up.
I mean, it looks very easy. I will definitely thank you for that recommendation too, Kathi.
So
I have to hop to my next meeting. But thank you again so much. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay,
thank you so much, Kathi. Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.